Hello, everyone. Today we're going to be going on an adventure. We're going to be going out into Glen Ellyn to try and find where erosion is happening all around us. So, what you're going to need is weather appropriate clothes, an adult to go with you because we don't want to go outside without permission or with adult supervision. So, please make sure you ask an adult for safety. Safety, safety. Now, the next part is as we're scientists and we're going out on an adventure and to observe, we want to make sure we have the right stuff for our observations. So, we're looking for erosion, which is when the wind and water and sometimes ice move places from one place to another. So, we're going to make sure that we have maybe binoculars if you're trying to see it up close and you can't quite get to where you're going, or you have a magnifying glass if you want to look up close and see what tiny little pieces or sediments are moving if you get up close to erosion. And then sometimes it's good to have something that you can draw on, like a science journal or a spare piece of paper, just to draw what erosion might look like in your place that you live. So, we're going to go to Lake Ellyn today and try and find if we can see where erosion is happening. We are coming out of winter. We've had a lot of snow melting, so I'm hoping we can find quite a few places. Now, I also maybe want you to keep track of what questions you might have. So it's okay to think of questions about why is erosion happening? Why is it happening right here? And so I want you also to try and jot down some questions that you have. Feel free to ask them at our next class, and then we'll try and discuss them together.
Walking outside can be a great way to learn, and one of the ways to do that is just by observing your environment around you. So if you actually look at the ground while all the snow is melting, you might notice that there are some darker patches. And that's because the snow is melting, so it's turning from a solid to a liquid, and then it's actually going to travel downhill because water travels where gravity takes it. So gravity makes it travel from somewhere up high to somewhere down low. Now what that means is that if I hold my hand up here and there's water coming out of it, it's going to travel all the way down to the bottom. So that's what's happening. If you go for your walk and you notice you're walking on a hill, I'm walking towards Lake Ellyn where a lot of hills lead to. And so what's happening is the water is traveling and melting downhill and starting to go from the top downhill down to Lake Ellyn. If you're out and walking around, one of the easy ways to see where erosion is happening is if you look at the sidewalk. As you're walking, you might see dirt start to appear on the sidewalk. And you might notice that happening when there's either been rain or snow that's melting like what we have now. So as you're out on a walk, try to find somewhere where you can see erosion. A good sign is that there's dirt. We're here at Hadley Junior High, and in the staff parking lot on the side of the building, you can actually see a really big hill. And so as we've been seeing, hills are where we usually see erosion happening. So if you look behind me, we can see a lot of shade on the ground. Now, what that means is that plants need sun to grow. So if there's shade, it's harder for plants to grow. And because there's not really any plants there, or there's not very many, that soil is going to be exposed to the wind and water and erode a lot faster. So what you can see behind me is you can see the plant roots starting to stick through because erosion is happening and wearing away around the plant roots. And if there isn't anything put in place to prevent that erosion from happening, eventually all these small trees and even maybe the big one could potentially fall over because they lose their stability. So erosion happens all around us. Try looking around your school and see if you can find any erosion. As you walk around Lake Ellyn or any other lake, you might notice that sometimes there's lots of hills around there, which is why the lake forms, because all of that water comes from those hills and drains down into the lake. So what's been happening with all the snow that we got this winter, and it's finally melting, is it's actually starting to drain and travel along the sidewalk. This area in particular, kind of close to the boathouse, actually has been kind of flooding for a little while as the snow has been melting. And so what's been happening is if you look at the dirt, it's getting super dirty because all the snow on the hill is melting. It's draining down because of gravity. traveling across the sidewalk. If you look right there, it's kind of dirty. And that dirt didn't just appear. The water is carrying sediments or little pieces of dirt as it's traveling and moving that dirt along. So you can actually see the dirt moving from one place to another. And as rains and stuff like that happen, that dirt will get washed from the sidewalk and then travel down. And eventually those sediments will wind up in the lake. Thinking all the way back to the beginning of the school year, we've been talking about coming up with questions and giving ideas and providing reasons for those using I think, because. So as you go on walks, as it starts to get nicer outside, I want you to start to come up with questions about possibly erosion and why it's there, why it's not there, what materials are stopping it, what materials are helping, what are the properties of those materials. Use your I think, because to try and answer those questions, and good luck with your research.